welcome. Raising Your Game today. I'm David Levin. This is our Tuesday episode, so we're talking about sports and sports parenting today. The Friday episode covers all the aspects of the mental game. So I have a bit of a secret to confess today. I'm not a big sports guy. Never really been. I used to watch it more when I was younger, like a lot younger before I got married and everything, but just don't watch it much now. One big thing is, I'm not opposed to it, it's just surprisingly big factor is we don't have local TV. We don't have an antenna. I haven't been able to figure out how to get that work. We don't have cable. We just do streaming. So we just literally have no way to watch it. Also, the TV we have is in the basement. It's not like in the main part of the house. So we'd have to really, go out of our way to just sit in that room for all that time and watch. And it's just not something we would do. Now, I will say, I cracked the code on football anyway. We're from Minnesota, so I'm still a Vikings fan, or at least a Fairweather fan. I finally figured out how to be able to watch it, in spite of those things I just mentioned. I found an app, an NFL app, $5 a month, basically. I can watch all the games, and that's been a lot of fun. Especially this last week, my goodness, a 33-point comeback. It's unbelievable. So I do enjoy it. I can enjoy it. It's just not part of our lives. The Super Bowl, that's fun. But again, our cousins, our family here in town, we go over there. They have a TV. They have a Super Bowl party, and that's fun. The World Series this year was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I do love baseball. I found a way to stream that. And also baseball works well on the radio, my experience. So again, we're not against sports or anything like that. It's just not a part of our lives. But I'm thinking about it because of the World Cup, which of course is everywhere. Well, it was everywhere. It just finished up a couple of days ago. That was an amazing finish too, right? But the thing about that is, other than having heard it in the news, I really don't care. I don't mean to be flip about it. It's just I don't really get soccer, I don't understand the game. I never played the game. Just not really interested. Of course, I get the passion for others. The World Cup sounds like a beautiful thing with the national identity. It's kind of an Olympics vibe there. I get it. I'm just not into it myself. But I'm thinking about it because, again, it was in the news, but also a guy I follow named Scott Galloway. He's got the Prof G pod, also on Pivot with Kara Swisher. I like him a lot. So he's been talking about this. And he is, it's interesting too, because he's even more forceful about it than I am. He just couldn't care less. But he's got 2 boys, and they are all into it. So he's all into it because he wants to be there for them. And that got me thinking for this week's episode. How do you support your kids as a sports parent when you're not into sports yourself? It's sort of an interesting topic because it's got to be a fairly common situation. And I don't expect to be saying anything necessarily brand new to you here, but it's just an interesting thing to kind of commiserate on and collaborate on and just think through. What are some of the best ways to go about that? So the most important thing above all else, and this ties back to what Scott Galloway was saying, of course, is the relationship. The reason he's all into soccer with them right now is because they're into it. And he wants to have that with them. He wants to have that time with them and that shared passion and excitement and experience. The relationship is the thing above all else. You will care about it the most over time. Maybe now, phase of life, you're thinking about other things, but as you get older, there's nothing bigger than the relationship you have with your kids. Bottom line. And again, he speaks to that very beautifully. The importance and that difference between when he was younger and he wasn't so focused on it. He's focused on, making money for the family. And now he's making up for it. And again, that's fine too. I'm not saying it was a mistake before, but just the point that the relationship is the most important thing, and it will become more apparent to you over time. Also, it serves them the best over time to have a good relationship with you, right? I mean, a good, strong, healthy, connected relationship is everything, period. So, okay, great. What leads to a good relationship as a sports parent? What things do you want to look to have that, to be successful with creating a good relationship when they're in sports, and maybe you're not so into it. So anyway, that's not saying that very clearly, but you get what I'm getting at. So here are some thoughts. Basically, you want to support them, you want to be with them, you want to encourage them, and you want to listen to them. You don't want to push, at least not too much. A couple of weeks ago, I had my friend John Miller on. He talked about that, and he's really beautifully said, insightful on his part, about let the kids lead on how much they want to do it. Push a little, but not so much that it's about you and not them. So support and listen. And the support category, again, it's pretty straightforward stuff. When our kids were in soccer, we went to the games, right? And we were thanking our stars constantly that they weren't playing hockey because that's insane how much traveling they're doing there. We go to the games, we talk to them about it, we encourage them, ask him how it went, what he's feeling, be enthusiastic about the whole thing. It's fairly easy to do, even though the truth is, a lot of times I didn't want to go to the games, right? And I wanted to tell him what I thought he should be doing, but I didn't do that. I just asked him how he thought it was going and all that. And then on the listening side, and it's just not meaning their words necessarily, it's just being tuned into them, being insightful with them. Do they seem to be having fun? It's not all fun, of course, but in general, are they happier in it than out of it? And are they learning lessons from it? I mean, that's the big reason we want them in there, right? Because of the kind of life experience and lessons they get that they don't really get anywhere else. In our case, when our kids wanted to try stuff out, we insisted they finish the season, finish their commitment. We wanted to listen to them, but not to the extent as 2 games in, I'm not liking it, we keep losing, I'm going to quit. That was too far, right? You can't just quit in the middle. And we did push them to do something active. Neither one of them are instinctively active like that. So we said, you got to do something. What's it going to be? And, Peter chose soccer. Francis tried a couple different things. But at some point, they also didn't want to keep going. And, we'd have an ongoing conversation. Okay, like in the middle of the season, maybe I don't want to keep going. Okay, well, we'll see how we feel when we get there. And let's talk about it again later. And maybe they're having fun for a while. We live in such a small town, and they have such a small school in this small town. They always lost, so you had to find other ways to be happy about the experience. And it's harder for younger kids, I think. Our kids were in grade school when they were doing sports, is that, winning, that's why we're doing it as far as they're concerned, right? Let me check this real here, sorry. And when you're not winning, like ever, the goal for the game, no pun intended on the goal, was, do we score a point? That would be like a major victory. So you're always talking with them, just being with them, listening, feeling, observing. And if they want to stop, then okay. Another thing I'll say, I touched on this earlier, I don't want to go to the games. I didn't want to go to the games, but I don't want to say that to them, right? You never want to say that. Like, it's just in general, kids, love them to death, but boring as hell. I mean, the stuff they bring to you, right? It's like, hey, you want to see this? Check this out. Can I tell you about this? And I just want to say, no, sweetheart, I'm just not interested in that. I will never be interested in that. But I would never do that, right? I would never do that. Again, back to the relationship is the most important thing. I never want, it's going to choke me up a little bit. I never want my kids to not want to bring something to me if they're excited about it. I just don't, right? They'll discover on their own when they get older and have kids, like, oh my God, really? You put up with this? But for now, I mean, it's huge to me. I never want them to go, oh, I'm super excited about this, but no, I'm not going to share that with my dad because he'll be bored by it. Not a chance I'm letting that happen. So there's a little self-regulation to be had, right? Your instinct, your impulse is, Jesus, seriously, no, I'm not. I could not possibly be less interested in this. But I'm keeping that to myself, okay? I'm keeping that to myself because our relationship is more important to me than that. Thinking long-term versus short-term. Anyway, so again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know probably with any of this, but it's good to it's good to commiserate and remind each other and support, I think. Yeah. So the goal is everything else is led by what will lead to the better relationship over time. That's the most important thing. Encourage them, listen to them. And understand, keep in mind that even if you're not into it, right? You're not into it, your attention's somewhere else, whatever. It's good work. It's important work for you and for them. And it's well worth it for both of you. It's not easy, but the path to doing the right thing is never easy. It's always the harder path, right? That goes without saying. Oh my goodness. Which is the whole point of this show, right? The kind of person we want to be is harder. And it's also the right thing to do. And we want to support each other in doing that. And also, it's a funny thing to think about. It can go the other way too, right? I mean, you got a parent who's super into sports and their kids aren't. That's also hard. It's a different kind of hard, but it's also hard. The point is, no matter what that dynamic is between you and your child and your relative interest in sports, you want to navigate it in a way that helps you honor and build and strengthen that relationship above all else. All right. That is what I wanted to talk about. Sports parenting when you're not into sports. How can you support them when you're not really into it yourself? I hope that was helpful. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends and rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Every positive review helps more folks find the show and get that helpful mental game boost. If you like video, we post all our episodes on our YouTube channel as well, which you already know if you're watching this video. But there's a link to that in the show notes if you're listening to the audio pod. For more mental game goodness, please join our free community, the Raise Your Inner Game Charging Station. Click the link here or go to raiseyourinnergame.com/community. It's totally free. You'll love that. If you'd like to support the show so we can keep things ad-free, please click the Buy Me a Coffee link below. And we thank you for that. And that is it today. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.